Hey, yo, it's your girl Blaze Adams 24/7 here with the real, the reality, the Housewives. Let's get into today's story or update if you've been following about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills husband Tom Girardi, who has been indicted officially. If you follow Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you know Erika Jane or Erika Girardi, who is Tom's wife, longtime wife. And during the show's seasons that she's been featured on, we've seen her be Erika Jane, who is a performer, very elaborate sets, makeup, hair, styling, all of that, very high end, very expensive. She even recorded a song called It's Expensive to Be Me. Or I think it's called Expensive, but this is what she says. It's expensive to be me. You know? And throughout his investigation, she had also been questioned and even accused of using stolen money from his clients to fund her career. But I believe since then she has been exonerated from all criminal charges, and Tom has now officially been indicted. So let's talk about what is he exactly being indicted for. We have the story here. Let's get into it. Federal grand juries in Los Angeles and Chicago have indicted Girardi Keith's founder, Tom Girardi, on 13 counts of wire fraud and 4 counts of criminal contempt stemming from his firm's theft of millions from its clients. Prosecutors announced Wednesday saying that their criminal investigation into the once legendary law firm is not yet finished. So they're still investigating. Girardi, who's now 83 years old, his son-in-law, former Girardi Keith's attorney David Lira, and firm's one-time chief financial officer Christopher Kamen were each indicted on 8 counts of wire fraud and 4 counts of contempt in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. But they say that this district is where the firm misappropriated more than $3 million from a settlement negotiated for the families of plane crash victims. Girardi was charged with an additional 5 counts of wire fraud in Los Angeles. Federal authorities there alleged he and Kamen lied to clients and exploited their lack of knowledge about the legal system to steal more than $15 million from them. Mr. Girardi and Mr. Kamen stand accused of engaging in a widespread scheme to steal from their clients and lie to them to cover up the fraud. In doing so, they allegedly preyed on the very people who trusted and relied on them the most, their clients. The alleged crimes cover just a few of the accusations against Girardi and other members of his firm over several decades. The State Bar of California disclosed last year that it had received more than 200 complaints against Girardi alone since the early 1980s. Girardi had practiced law in California since 1965. My goodness, this is before a lot of us were born. Then he went on to found the once bustling plaintiff's firm, Girardi Keith's in Los Angeles, where he would win billions of dollars in judgments and settlements over the course of his career. He rocketed to national fame as one of the lawyers involved in a groundwater pollution case that resulted in $333 million settlement and inspired the 2000 film Erin Brockovich. I don't know if you guys remember or have seen that movie that starred Julia Roberts. It was an excellent film, and it was based on Tom Girardi's work. But in December of 2020, 20 years later, a federal judge in Chicago found that Girardi had stolen at least $2 million from settlements he negotiated for the family members of plane crash victims. Creditors soon forced Girardi and his firm into bankruptcy liquidation proceedings. Girardi has since been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and placed under conservatorship. A bankruptcy trustee has estimated that he and his firm owe upward of $100 million to former clients, co-counsel, vendors, and others. Lyra left the firm in 2020 and has been working for Engstrom, Lipscomb, and Lack LLP in Los Angeles. Cayman was arrested in November, charged in California with wire fraud, and accused of running a $10 million side fraud on the firm behind Girardi's back. So not only was Girardi scheming and scamming, but his partner was even doing so behind his back. Wow. Girardi Keese and its founder are now in bankruptcy, and the firm is believed to have misappropriated more than $100 million from clients over several decades. The firm may owe more than $500 million to various creditors, according to bankruptcy court filings. Wednesday's indictment out of Chicago alleged that Girardi, Lyra, and Cayman stole money from 5 Indonesian families whose relatives died when Lion Air Flight 610 crashed into the Java Sea in 2018. Girardi Keese partnered with Chicago-based law firm Edelson PC to represent the families in litigation against Boeing and settled the families' cases in early 2020. By the end of March, Boeing had wired nearly all of the family's funds to Girardi Keese's client trust account. But for several months, Girardi, Lyra, and Cayman lied to Edelson and their mutual clients about why the firm was not able to release the settlement funds, sending clients partial payments to discourage them from reporting their wrongdoing, according to the indictment. Cayman took funds from the client's account and purposely mislabeled the withdrawals as fees and miscellaneous case costs, when Girardi Keese's fees had already been deducted from the settlement funds and paid to a lender. In all, the families lost more than $3 million to the firm. The Los Angeles grand jury, meanwhile, alleged that Girardi misappropriated at least $15 million from 5 unnamed clients in 4 cases. In one case, Girardi told a client that his total settlement was $7.25 million when it was actually $53 million, according to the indictment. He also falsely claimed that the settlement would be structured as an annuity when that was not a requirement of the settlement, and he did not have the client's permission to do this. In January 2013, Girardi transferred $28 million of the client's funds to a trust account, then embezzled some of it to pay his firm's expenses and to pay off other clients. Girardi and Cayman then allegedly lied to the client about the location and status of the money, saying it was locked up or could present tax liabilities if he withdrew it. In other cases, Girardi and Cayman similarly delayed and stole from a widow's $504,000 settlement in her husband's wrongful death suit, another client's $128,250 settlement for injuries caused by a defective medical device, and a $17.5 million settlement for a child paralyzed in a car crash. Wow. And this is a quote. Thomas Vincent Girardi should have been a pillar to our community. Instead, he is accused of creating an elaborate scheme to mislead his clients, victimizing them for a second time. And this is coming from Tyler Hatcher, a special agent in charge of IRS criminal investigations, Los Angeles field office. Los Angeles attorney Evan Jennis was Girardi's last known criminal defense counsel. It was not clear whether she still represents him, and she did not respond to a request for comment Wednesday. Counsel information for Lyra was not immediately available. And then they provide Cayman's representation, as well as the case numbers for the suits. So that's a lot. That's a lot of criminal activity by a professional attorney who had a reputation that was out of this world, especially after the Erin Brockovich movie. He was heralded as a hero, and he could have been a hero if he had not have swindled his clients. That is greed, people. This is Erika and Tom during filming of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where he made several appearances, and she, used some of his behaviors, I would say, to justify the fact that she's divorcing him. She started divorcing him when this stuff started being made public. And, people had their doubts. And then he went on to get diagnosed and be put into a conservatorship because of an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Now, this is him now, and he's definitely seen better days. Even here, which is just like a year or so ago, or maybe a couple years ago, on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And as you can see here, he is a shell of himself. It looks like his soul has left his body. And this is the price we pay for doing evil deeds, okay? This was what he did was pure evil, was selfish, inhuman. I mean, how do you take money from an injured child, plane crash victims, and their families of the ones who were deceased? Like, who does that? And then Erika, she's continuing to live her life. I have no doubt that she will probably end up with another wealthy man at some point. She's a beautiful woman, and she's a smart lady too. Like, if you're familiar with the show, then you know that Erika is a savvy woman. Okay, she don't take no shit neither, and she's somebody who's going to look out for herself at the end of the day, which I believe she did when she divorced Tom and basically distanced herself from all of the shit that piled up on him. Now, I don't know if Erika is returning to Housewives. It is one of my favorite Real Housewives shows, actually. I am in LA, so, But it will be interesting to see if she does return, how this is all going to play out in the aftermath of Tom's indictment. Now, Tom being indicted is the beginning of his, I would say, legal downfall, because he still will probably have to face a trial and then go to prison. And as you can see, he's not really in shape, it looks like, to spend any time in prison. Like, he's literally going to die there. Yeah, so this, is a sad situation, but a lesson to all. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do people wrong. Don't steal from people. Treat people how you want to be treated. There was no reason for him to have done what he did. He was making really good money, and to turn into a criminal. Like, I'm wondering if he was already criminally minded prior to even becoming an attorney, and just decided, I'm going to go this route, and I'm going to do my crookedness within the realms of my being an attorney. Like, who else to better cover up crimes than an attorney? But in this case, he wasn't able to cover it up enough. So all of that good, hard work, reputation that he's made for himself as a lawyer, down the toilet. And now look at him. It is horribly tragic. This did not have to happen. And I personally believe that Tom was in love or struck by Erika. Like, I feel like he did a lot of that for her. She was married to him that whole time. Okay, very high maintenance. I do believe he had a previous wife and marriage and kids prior to Erika, but you see how old he is now. He has had time to have two lives. And Erika being in his life this latter part, when all of this stuff has come down on him, speaks volumes, I think, about her. Because in my opinion, your spouse is a representation of you, and vice versa. And there is no way. Well, I won't say there's no way she didn't know, because as an attorney, a high profile attorney, she could have very well also been under his manipulation. He could have just been lying to her all along too. So I don't want to put it all on her, but I just do feel like some of the things that she required in the marriage, funding of her career and all of that, may have put pressure and strain on Tom to do the things that he did. No excuse, of course, just trying to find like a reasonable answer as to why he would do this to himself. This is what's called self-sabotage, okay? But I'm gonna end this here. I just wanted to give an update on this. I am a fan of Housewives shows, franchise actually. So this was something I was following. Some of you guys may also, watch the Housewives, and I'm curious as to what your thoughts are about this whole situation. So let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging in. That being said, I appreciate you. Thank you as always, and bye.